Andrew here, Ran on Beer. Cheers, happy Friday. I'm drinking my New England IPA. I just got this on the gas 2 days ago. So put it on 30 PSI for about a day and dropped it down to my serving PSI, which is 11. And it's nice. It's actually my second pint. Lot of passion fruit and orange and orange is citrus. Orange and grapefruit aroma. The flavors got some of those plus some peach. Actually more peach than some of the other flavors. I'm really pleased with it. It's not as sweet as what a lot of others seem to be, but I'm happy with it. So there's a bajillion things going on here. One of them is it seems like Christmas is kind of coming early, and not in terms of the calendar, but everyone's wanting to celebrate it. By the end of October, I started seeing a lot of Christmas ales hitting the shelves, and just earlier this week, I saw a bunch of tweets from some of the local beer stores that were showing off their Christmas ales that are already in. And if that wasn't enough, I'm seeing friends and family posting stuff on Facebook about, oh, my tree's up, or I'm going to put my tree up, or is it too early to put my tree up? And some of them really just showed some decor. One friend that just moved into a new place, it posted some new Christmas decor. So this New England IPA had some issues in brewing. One of them is that I missed my mash temperature. I wanted to hit about 152. I ended up with 147, which doesn't seem like it'd be too bad, but I would think body-wise this is fine, but I was a little concerned. I also missed my mash pH, and I don't know if I want to blame my, I've got one of those nice Milwaukee instruments. I don't know if I want to blame that and just think that maybe the sensor's old and bad. It's a few years old. Or if maybe I should have tested it again or something. I went through calibration 2 or 3 times the other day just trying to kind of figure it out. But my mash pH came out to 6.2. I went back into brewing water. Well, not back into it, but I went into brewing water, put everything into it, and it estimated a pH of 6 with no acid adjustments. And I added 14 milliliters into about 12 gallons of water. So I don't know, something's fucked up there. So I did ultimately get a reasonable reading out of my pH, water pH, which was 8.35. The pH meter is getting cranky. The second time I tried to calibrate it, because I didn't trust it the first time, it didn't want to calibrate in the pH 4 solution. So it does a 4.01 to 7.01 solution, or you can optionally do 7.01 and 10.01. I only have solutions for 4 and 7, so that's what I did. So to deal with it, I bought this. It's an RO filter. I decided I'm not going to screw around with water here. My water source here is from a big flood control dam that's 10 miles away from my house. There's a lot of runoff. There's times during the year, during the summer, when those beaches should be open, that they close them because there's too much algae that in the water that could be hazardous to humans. This is where my water's coming from. So I bought this, then I found this nice Homebrew talk thread that fortunately basically said, yeah, I did the right thing. The only thing I might do kind of differently, you can't tell on this, but because it only shows the 3 stages, it's actually a 4-stage model. Somewhere in this box that's right out of the camera view, maybe I'll find it. Or maybe I won't. Oh, this might be it, and it's kind of, I don't know if I can get it out easily. Yeah, there we go. The Ionizing Filter. So I looked on the reviews on Amazon, and I'll admit I've never really looked into water very much, although I should, because it's like 95%, 93% of most of the beers I brew. course, I'm talking over all the noise I'm making. But I looked on all the negative reviews, and all these negative reviews are like, oh, I ran this the first time and it was great and I got TDS of 0, and then I did it a second time and I got 3. 3's fine for brewing. In fact, there's a link in the description. There's a couple links in the description. One's the Homebrew Talk thread. Well, there's a Homebrew Talk how-to that's really, really very good. And then there's a thread, and somewhere down on it is Martin Brewingard, who made Brewing Water, who's incredibly intelligent with this stuff. He basically says, yeah, you don't really need the DI filter. I don't know that I'm going to totally bypass it like all the time. I may put it on and just use it part of the time, because the DI water is great for rinsing off things like pH meter probes. So anyway, this is going to get installed here soon, probably before my next brew, which I've mentioned on the last video like this, is going to be a Christmas ale. I've been calling it Emperor Genji, so I've got to get my wife to draw the Genji guy from Shrek, looking like Emperor Palpatine. Maybe I'll actually label this bottle. But I went and looked at a person named she goes by Brave Tarts. Her name's actually Stella Park. She's written a cookbook. There's a pretty strong following of her stuff. I've never actually made anything out of her cookbook, although I did buy it. The $2 Kindle sale was too difficult to resist. But she has a recipe on the internet, it's down there, with the spices that she uses, or the recipe she uses, and I kind of pulled out everything that looked appropriate. Obviously we're not going to toss flour into this thing, but molasses, vanilla, ginger, cinnamon, cloves, coriander, nutmeg, and orange zest. So I'm still kind of trying to figure out exactly how I want to do this, because according to one person on Reddit, there's a lot of stuff that can be blown out during fermentation. But then again, in Mastering Homebrew, there's a quote from Pierre Celis. He's the founder of Hogarden Brewery, that says, always add the spices during the last 5 minutes, otherwise it's just for the neighbors. So I might do half the spices during the last 5 minutes. Vanilla, I'm going to look back at my notes and see what I did for the Mango Vanilla Milkshake IPA that I did a year or two ago. It didn't go well in the SJ Pour competition, but I thought it tasted good. Decent, at least. Do whatever I did with that, and then maybe save some of them, or have an extra little bit of spices, so that post-fermentation, if I think it needs to be kicked up a little bit, I'll go ahead and do that. On a similar subject, I earlier this week tried my last Christmas ale, which was from the Zymurgy magazine last year. It's a peppermint porter, and it still has a nice peppermint flavor to it. It's close to a year old, and it's still good. So I was happy about that. Anyway, that's it for today. Cheers.